I bid you welcome.
I welcome you to my house.
Welcome to my house.
Welcome to my home.
Hello horror hounds, welcome to my horror house. In the lockdown I'm returning to the entertainment buffet and I'm filling up my plate with cheese again because every day this week I'm going to be checking out a Resident Evil movie, and it's the turn of Resident Evil Apocalypse. This is the one where the infection has spread outside the Umbrella facility and Raccoon City is in lockdown. I remember really liking this one, and upon a rewatch I like it slightly less. It seems a wee bit amateurish to me. The setup I really dig. The Umbrella Corporation has locked down Raccoon City, and in an attempt to cover up their illegal activities and the outbreak, they're going to send a precision tactical nuke to absolutely destroy the city and claim that it was a nuclear meltdown at the local plant. Alice and the others have to try and escape, and they get help from the outside by a scientist working for the Umbrella Corporation who wants them to save and extract his daughter from the city who got left behind during the evacuation. So it's a sort of fetch and save mission as if you were in a computer game. You've got Alice, played by Milla Jovovich. Obviously, she hooks up with some people from the Raccoon City police force, some random survivors, members of the public. Over here you've got some Umbrella military / SWAT members who themselves got abandoned by the corporation. They're just assets and they've been liquidized, I guess, in the eyes of the company. So they're now, as they say, freelance. And in the mix is the Umbrella Corporation deciding to use the chaos to test out another one of their projects, the Nemesis project. A mutated character from the end of the first film, mutated with the T-virus, who's now turned into Nemesis from the Resident Evil games. First thing to say is that Jill Valentine is hot, but she looks a little bit like someone cosplaying the character from the game. Mind you, the Nemesis character looks a little bit like a cosplayer as well. A sort of Rawhead Rex with a chain gun. I guess the idea was, let's have a little bit more of the same and make it slightly bigger and slightly better. So Jill has a battle with some zombie Doberman, and I love the zombie dogs in the first film. I love the zombie dogs in this film. Slightly prefer how they look in the first film. I think they're a little too CG heavy in this film. We have a fight in a church with now not one but 3 of those liquor creatures from the end of the first movie. And again, it's kind of nice. It's all right. It's similar to the first movie, but slightly bigger, slightly better. It does introduce us fantastically to Alice on a motorbike, now bonded with the T-virus and all super powered up. Always happy to see Oded Fehr in anything. He's the Medjay character from the Stephen Sommers Mummy movies. We'll always watch him. He's great in this. Exactly the same good value as he was in the Mummy movies. Welcome, Oded. It's time for Who's That Brit? First of all, we have Jared Harris, son of Richard Harris, who you probably will have seen in loads of things. For me, in Sherlock Holmes' Game of Shadows, he is probably my favourite ever Moriarty that I've ever seen. Alongside Jared Harris is Ian Glenn, who everyone by now will know from Game of Thrones, the man who has probably said the word Khaleesi more than anyone else on the planet. Much more of him later on in the franchise. There are more zombies. That's always welcome. I love the lockdown scenario. I hate the awful motion blur that's put on a lot of zombie attack and zombie crowd scenes, and it dates it horribly, and I think probably even at the time that effect was horribly dated, and it only looks to have been employed, to my mind, to hide a shitty looking image or shitty makeup or shitty acting, and just, let's just blur it like a rock video from the 90s and no one will know the difference. It looks awful. And honestly, the big face-off at the end between Project Alice and the Nemesis project, at the end of the movie, that fight is a little bit lackluster. Later films in the series will go more full bore into the action. It just feels a little bit tentative here. Let's try and add a bit more action. Let's add a bit more zombies. Let's add a few more monsters, but doesn't seem to have the courage of its convictions, or it doesn't necessarily seem to have the budget yet to be able to do the kinds of things it wants to do. So while I love the scenario, the execution, a little lacking, I'll be honest. Great to have Oded Fair on board, but it does feel like the cosplay edition of the Resident Evil series.